Voyage of the Basilisk is number 3 in the Memoirs of Lady Trent series by American author Mary Brennan. It is a fantasy novel all about dragons. It started out with A Natural History of Dragons for the first book and Tropic of Serpents for the second. And in this third, the continuation of what are kind of cast as an older Lady Trent, Isabella Camhurst, looking back on kind of an illustrious and controversial career as a naturalist, basically a natural historian, I think is what it calls, but naturalist. This is kind of telling about kind of the untold stories of her career. Just kind of like the inside scoop of stuff that didn't get revealed at the time. Because indeed, while this is very much kind of a naturalist's voyage in kind of an alternative Earth where this kind of Victorian woman, I think it's Scarling is what it's called, but it's very much. This is a proper Victorian lady who has gone against the kind of the mores of the day and has become a scientist. She actually does get married, but she gets widowed in earlier books. Spoiler alert. But so she's now going on voyages with. She has a kind of a fellow colleague, Tom, who is of a lower class and thus struggles with his own thing of getting accepted by a very kind of snooty kind of nobility rich science thing, like, you're a commoner, you haven't gone to the proper schools, we're not going to fund you and we're not going to recognize you. And indeed, for her as a woman, definitely that kind of idea of the time of, you're a woman, why would we respect you as a scientist, as a naturalist? But no, this is all about her going on these expeditions to search out and study dragons, which actually exist in this world. And this is not a fantasy. Oh, we're gonna have swooping dragons and fire and kind of adventures that way. This is a naturalist who is going to study this certain kind of a creature, it's as such, you get brief glimpses of dragons. Dragons are hard to track down. Dragons are kind of dangerous to study. They're in inconvenient places. We start off in the very first the Natural History Dragons. It's flying dragons, and it's kind of more northern. And then it's more in kind of in the second one, it's more swamp and kind of tropical. In tropical things. And now for this novel, the Voyage of the Basilisk, it's the name of the ship that Isabella takes with her compatriots, because she's just one of many. She's not rich enough that she could equip an entire voyage. She's basically going to wedge herself in there with, they're going to be doing the captain. What's his name? He's it's kind of a Greek name. This is one of these things. If I have trouble keeping track of all my keeping track of all my ikinitos, all of my what they use fantasy names for what I'm supposed to be smart enough to recognize as actual kind of maybe Victorian times places. But Akinatos is doing he's got his own kind of trading and shipping to do, and she's got a couple of different masters. She's going to send back copy for a newspaper. She's going to do some studying for this scientific study and this scientific group, as well as kind of her own kind of studying of the dragons and her own theories. She comes up with theories. Indeed, like, one of the most interesting parts of this book for me was when she comes up with one kind of certain kind of a theory about, the migration habits of dragons. And she's like, very, very excited. She writes it up, and Tom is like, well, maybe you should give it a little time, stuff like. She's like, she's very excited. She mails it off. And then a couple of months later, more new data comes in, and she's like, oh crap, I have to reconsider. And she's like, my original theory was incorrect, but so I've got a new theory, which is great. And if she was a male scientist, that wouldn't be such an issue. But because she's a female scientist, it's seen as like, you were wrong and you fucked up, and therefore we're going to ridicule you, not accept that, like, this is science. This is what happens. You get some certain facts, you come up with a theory, but then you get new facts and you come up with a new theory. That's how science works. So it's got the scientific work. It's also got just like how things are stacked against her as a woman. And that this, believe it or not, for me, that was like, oh, that's the kind of the fun stuff of this novel. It's a fantasy novel, but it's a fantasy novel laid over kind of like a 19th century Victorian scientist, and a female scientist at that. There is also really, there's fun adventures. There's being, in a diving bell underneath the water, and a water dragon shooting water at it and tipping it over, and they have to swim for freedom. They get to encounter different cultures, which sounds like a kind of a Polynesian kind of culture thing. They meet this tribe, and there's one of the women there, Haley Lee, is dragon spirited, and it's only kind of a certain way through that you realize that, oh, Haley Lee wasn't born a woman, but is a woman. It wasn't born a woman, but has now become a woman, and kind of a thing of like, trans people that are not, just strictly defined as their gender within our very strict definitions, and how that's kind of a cross-cultural thing that's happened, which is also which is cool. And it also comes in the thing of, Isabella is, when she's actually away from her polite skirling Victorian society, she's wearing pants, because of, actually, she caught a kind of one of the tropical, diseases. She had to shave her head, so she's got short hair at the moment. So she, the islanders look at her and think, well, obviously you're dragon spirited, you're obsessed with dragons, but B, you dress like a man, you've got your hair cut like a man, you're obviously dragon spirited. So it's kind of like, oh, I don't think of myself that way. And, other things. And as that she's fitting in and kind of respecting that culture, which she does, because she's got to work with these people and kind of respect them as she's moving amongst them. And she does. It's good. She gets to experience other things of being a dragon spirited person, which I thought was quite cool. I think, there's a part of the value of this being in a fantasy setting is I wasn't quite so much like, would a woman in Victorian England get to do all these things? And actually they probably would, but this is like, it would be kind of an extraordinary outlier, but I guess I accept it more in this kind of fantasy realm. Now, in the midst of all this, there's also kind of the political stuff which seems very kind of cogent with like a lot of these Victorian expeditions and explorations, is they were also used by the government to gather information on various places. And sometimes she even just kind of crosses over kind of other governmental things that are doing stuff. And they are doing it in a very kind of that ruthless 19th century kind of realpolitik way of, I'm not going to intervene in this battle because it's not in the interest of our thing, and we'll just let them kill each other until we get to go in. It's got that, there's a little bit of a grit there that I enjoy, that, like, she is very much in for it for the science, but there's an acknowledgement that there's a lot of other stuff happening, which, isn't noble knights. It's just governments kind of doing their crap and maneuvering and, stealing stuff and stuff like that. And the other thing that there isn't here is there seems to be an ancient, civilization, a draconian civilization, which perhaps, tamed dragons, maybe used them for stuff. And indeed, there's questions within these books about like, what could dragons be used for now? Their bones are incredibly light, but incredibly strong, but can't be preserved. Or what's happened in some of these books is they have learned how to preserve them, which greatly endangers the poor dragons, who would then become seen as a source for highly strong, highly light materials, which could be very useful to countries, that perhaps are on the cusp of making stuff, for air travel, or lots of like industrial ideas that you can see like the Victorians were definitely into. So it's a really interesting series. This is number 3. I seem to be really spacing these out. I think I read one every year or so. I'm not quite sure why. maybe just like I get that little shot of kind of faux American Victoriana, which is really well done. I listened to this in an audiobook, and it was read by Kate Redding, who is a audiobook pro. She's done like the Brandon Sanderson Stormlight trilogy. She does the female voice, female character in that, so that's a lot of reading. But she's also done tons and tons more, and she does a really good job of kind of capturing a very kind of very proper, very precise Victorian woman. I enjoy her reading of it. So yeah, that is all good. So yeah, that is my review of The Voyage of the Bslsk by Mary Brennan, and I definitely recommend the series. Awesome.